Welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drew B. Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, this is the greatest job on earth. Doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type. You can create an amazing life in sales. Today's guest, no stranger to the journey. He's my new friend, Mr. Dennis Mark Interdonato. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Drew B. Ready to rock it out with you today, man.
Amen, brother. I'm excited. I know we were having a great conversation off camera, but I want to jump right in, man. I want to hear your crazy sales story.
So this is about 3 years ago, and I'm going to preface this story by saying this deal is still going on. So
All right, here we go.
I got a call from an old grade school friend of mine. Her and her family, they live on 17 acres in the town that I grew up in. Wanted to list the property. So I went over there. Didn't even really have to do anything. I literally had the listing. Gave him a presentation, though. Went over the numbers. Long story short, within about, I would say, 2 months, we had a buyer. I ended up representing the buyer as well. So now I'm a dual disclosed agent. And everything was going good. Offer got accepted. Went into attorney review. During attorney review, the buyer's attorney changed the terms of the deal. I brought this to the seller. I said, "Hey, I want you to know something. This is not what we agreed to." The seller was like, "I don't care. My attorney read it to me. I'm fine. I trust my attorney." I said, "Are you sure? You understand what this means?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." Did my job, right? Brought it to him. Made sure he was aware of it. Cool. Didn't want to step on the attorney's toes, so I did not push it any further. The term that changed was that we could not close on this deal until we recorded the Mylar maps for the proposed subdivision. Now, anybody who's a developer, anyone who's ever done any type of subdivision knows you don't record the maps until the very end. And from this point in attorney review to the end of the deal, there is a lot that has to happen in between, right? We're talking engineers coming out, surveyors coming out, preparing all of the plans, submitting it to the zoning board, to the planning board, attending the town meetings, getting everything approved, talking with the township engineers. So while all this starts to happen, my seller, he starts to get antsy, and he's blaming me. Fast forward, he fires me. But I'm still in the deal because I'm representing the buyer, and his daughter, I'm still friends with her, is mad at him because he let another agent get in his head about the way this deal is going. An agent who had no idea what was even going on behind the scenes. I don't know how that even came to be. Regardless, the daughter calls me up one day and says, "I just took power of attorney over to my father. Will you come back on the deal?" I said, "I never left the deal." I said, "I've been talking to you the whole time." Right? I said to her, look, at this point, I said, and I don't mean this in any mean way or cocky way, but whether or not I'm representing you or not, I'm still getting paid. I said, I'm just staying in the deal, and I've been staying with you out of respect for you. I said, I'd be happy to, come back into the fold. But I said, you have to understand something. It was your father's attorney who did him wrong, not me. Turned out the father since fired me, fired that attorney, went through another attorney, fired that attorney. Now they're on their third attorney, right? So I don't talk to the father anymore. I only talk to her. 3 years later, we are still going through this deal. Moral of the story is, though, do your job, regardless. Stay with things, right? Treat everybody with the utmost respect. And if you know you're right, you're right. And if you know you're wrong, own up to it. But I wasn't wrong in this case. And I'm still doing right by them. And 3 years later, I'm still in it. I still speak to her. I still attend the town meetings. Every time we go up for another approval, every time the town knocks it back again, because you know how that goes. But we're almost there. Maybe like another 2 months, and we can put this bad boy to bed.
Some of the biggest deals I've done have been some of the nightmarish deals too. And it's crazy because you're right. It's like you don't want to walk away, you don't want to give up, especially when you've put in that much time, energy, and effort on something, because you can't get that back, right? Like money
Yeah.
we can all go make more of, but the time, the energy, the effort that you've put into like getting this deal to the point of closing
Yeah.
is it's a very expensive investment. And what I love about that, and also think is kind of hilarious, is attorneys don't know as much as they claim to know. And I'm not trying to be a buster or hate on them, because like I know they're super smart, but that's the point of having a professional for the specific service that you're working on in your corner. And I
Yeah.
love how you were, even after they fired you, still willing to offer the advice and be there to support. I'm assuming it was your friend from grade school, that the daughter that you're talking about.
Yes.
um because ultimately, like, hey, I did what I was supposed to do. They changed the terms. I brought it to the individual so that they could review it. Their choice was to move forward with the new terms of the agreement, and therefore there was nothing else that you could do to control that. And I
No.
think that's one of the funniest and craziest parts about sales, is that like sometimes it is controlled chaos. And I would imagine that, how long you been in real estate now?
So I've been licensed since 2006, but I just recently got into real estate as like a career. So since 2019 is when I really started utilizing my license to work with clients and really like make this something.
And that's, in all that time, you develop, you learn, you grow, and these are the kind of crazy ass situations that you get into, and you're like, I'm going to tell this story to someone someday and they're going to
Yep.
think it's crazy. And you're absolutely right, man. And that's why I love this business. Like sales as a whole is so fun, because there's all these crazy experiences that you go through that you get to learn and grow through along the way.
Yeah.
And so, are you more focused on like residential or commercial real estate at this point?
Way more focused on residential. I get a lot of commercial that comes my way, but what I have done, I've aligned myself with another agent who handles more commercial than me, and we just kind of team up now. So anytime the commercial comes my way, I just say, I have a small team that I work with. We can handle it for you, not a problem. But residential is the bread and butter.
Yeah, I love someone who has that mentality. I'm kind of the same way. It's like, yeah, I could do all the things. And also, I don't really want to do all the things, because I want to be
Absolutely
an
not.
expert in the thing that I do well.
Yep.
And there are a lot of sales professionals that make the mistake of trying to do too much all at once, and then
Mm,
they don't do anything. So I appreciate that, because that's a great way to handle it. And also referrals, givers gain, man. So when you're giving referrals to the
right.
commercial team, it just gives them a reason to send stuff back your way,
Yeah.
um, which is super cool. So I'm kind of curious though, like right now it's 2025. Markets for real estate have been kind of crazy, with the boom of 2020 and 21. Now we're a few years out from that. Like, what are you seeing in the market right now? Are there any big like detriments to home buying? Is there anything that's like a super value add? Like, what's the scoop?
So I'm in New Jersey. We are one of the last states, excuse me, to benefit from that boom. Just recently, we started seeing our market shifting. So we're in a shift right now. We're moving from a seller's market to a buyer's market. I'm a forecaster, though, right? I am always looking at what's going to happen 6 to 18 months from now. So I'm paying attention to the Fed. I pay attention to whoever the president is. I'm paying attention to what they're saying, and I'm paying attention to the big markets, right? California, Texas, Florida. We're always going to see the future through those markets. If they're going through something, rest assured the rest of the country is going to see that very, very soon. It's only a matter of time. That being said, uh, I think we're going to end up seeing a false boom next year in March because Jerome Powell's out. Pretty sure Trump is going to put in his guy, and they've already been talking about dropping those rates. The buyer pool has not changed. We are, and I'm talking here in New Jersey, we are an extremely overpopulated state with no new construction going on. So
Mm.
inventory, although inventory is up from the last few years, it is still down as opposed to the remainder of the country. Our market is a little unique. It's not the same. So countrywide, we're gonna see that boom if rates drop. But here in New Jersey, it's going to be stupid. And I think it'll be temporary. But what's going to happen is what we see going on in the economy and what we see going on in our real estate market are not going to be the same thing. And that's why I say we're going to see a false boom, because it's going to be powered by that interest rate drop. The only thing is we don't know how long it's going to last. I think it's probably going to last about a year and a half. I think we're going to, I think realtors are really going to feast again for a little bit of time. But I also see in that time, I think the rest of the country is going to end up catching up again, because according to everything I listen to, we're at the tail end of I don't want to say economic depression, but what everyone has been saying is that we should start going back up again. Now over here, we've been up. Like New Jersey has been up this whole time. I haven't seen a dip up until maybe like a couple months ago. But the remainder of the country, they have seen the dip. Florida has like tons of inventory right now. People just aren't buying over there. So it's really weird. And I know I can speak for New Jersey. I think maybe like Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, I think they're experiencing a little bit of the same thing that we are too. Our markets are just, we're very highly overpopulated, extremely high buyer pools. People need to live somewhere, and we just kept seeing it. So I think we're going into another boom. That's what I think, but I don't think it's going to last forever. Eventually, we have to level out. But the problem is that we have so many outlying factors that could happen within the next 18 months. There's no way to predict what the market's actually going to do. But if rates drop, we all know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's crazy how politics plays into it, that way, and how just the overall feeling of society starts making these massive swings one way or the other. And it's like I know I have a lot of real estate clients in our programs, and they're all across the country. They're seeing all sorts of different things. I have one guy in Florida, he was kind of filling me in. He's like, we went, I think he said he had like 700 to 800 price drops a day were happening in their market. Like, it was insane how people were just like racing to the bottom at this point, because everybody had this idea of like, you're supposed to spend 50 to 100 grand over asking price, and like everybody's selling in 3 days. And there was definitely a period where that was happening. I remember my wife and I put in like 4 or 5 different offers on houses at 100 grand over asking. And even at that point, like, I was sick to my stomach doing it, but I'm like, This is the way it works right now. And I'm really grateful that we didn't get any of those houses at way over the asking price.
Sure.
But like, let's say someone's listening to this and they're kind of in that position where they're like, well, I know that I want to make a move soon. I got some things I want to figure out. How do they avoid working with a shitty, dishonest real estate agent? Because there's a lot of them out there, and I love y'all, don't get me wrong. But like, how can someone make sure that they're working with the right person when it comes to working in real estate?
I think the easiest way is, number one, like, buyers have to be a little ballsy. You literally have to ask your realtor, what's your value prop? Right? What do you do? Show me your business, right? If your realtor's not like, if they're not utilizing social media, if they're not providing value in some way, if their website is like a basic little website, if they're not doing like at least one deal a month, then right off the bat, you might want to consider at least interviewing other agents, right? Ask them a question that only an experienced realtor could answer. Now, for a buyer to do this, though, they have to be educated, and that's the biggest problem. Most buyers aren't. Right. They don't know. And, as realtors, we have that stigma, like, we're all the same. All we do is open doors, right? There's no difference between realtors. But I can certainly express my value proposition verbally and physically. I can go right on my phone and I can show them everything that I do that other realtors don't do. I bring them right to my website. which I recently built. This thing is on steroids, man. You've never seen a realtor's website like this before.
I
I'm
can't wait to check it out.
I'm so proud of it, and it's like it's forever like being upgraded. You know, even like same thing with sellers, right? When sellers are interviewing, you need to ask the agent what their value proposition is. Don't just listen to what they're gonna do for you, but you should also be doing your research too. You should already know what that agent does. You need to see it. You need to hear it. A good way to do that is video, like YouTube. I totally utilize YouTube now. I'm all over that. Video in general, because that's really where the information's coming from. Like, just make sure they're genuine. Like, just make sure they're good people. Someone
I,
shows up and they're just like salesy. Nah, walk away, man. They're scripting. Like the way you
yeah.
and I are talking right now. If a realtor's talking like this to you and they're making a lot of sense to you, it's probably your guy or girl.
So what's the benefit of having a realtor on your team versus just going out and doing it yourself? Because I mean, I can go to Zillow and I can pull up properties. I mean, I can't necessarily get in the door, but like,
Mhm.
what's the real benefit of having a realtor in working with you versus just doing it yourself?
The benefit is everything that you don't know about the deal, right? So, for example, if you don't have a realtor, number one, how are you going to submit an offer? Or even further, let me ask this: aside from an open house, how are you going to get into a door? Right.
I mean,
That's the first thing.
that's a
Right.
good logical question.
Because if you call Realtor.com or Zillow, they don't connect you to list agents, contrary to what most buyers think. They connect you to a buyer represented agent.
Mm.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is, how are you going to have a conversation with the list agent to get the answers you need in order to structure your offer in a way to make it look like the best offer if that listing agent is representing the sellers, the competition, the person that you're submitting the offer to, right? This is a game of chess when you submit an offer. How can you play chess with only one color?
Mm.
You can't. So how does that benefit you? Wouldn't you rather have someone on your side that's looking out for you, who knows the right questions to ask, who can go back to you with those answers and say, now we can strategize. Here's all the information I got. But, people don't think about that kind of stuff. They don't think it's that difficult. We're going right into a market now, despite like what we just talked about. But the market we are technically going into, you need to strategize. You need to know how to structure an offer. You need to know what the differences are between the inspections that you think you need to have and should have or not have, right? You need to know how to structure when to close, or if there's going to be a use and occupancy involved, or if we have to get creative with the financing. If you're a veteran and you have no money to put down, but you want to look like you have a decent offer, let's say you don't want to put money down, but maybe you have some money. No veteran knows that you can upfront submit a down payment with the offer and then have that down payment come back to you at the end of the deal, so you still buy the house with no money down. They don't know these things. We know these things. So these are just a few of the reasons why people should work with a dedicated buyer's agent when they're on the buy side, and let the sellers work with their list agent. I don't like double ending my deals. I have other agents. I've already said to them, if we have an open house and a buyer comes in, you're getting the buyer, because I don't want to deal with the BS. And I certainly don't want that to drive a wedge between me and the seller, because that's where my responsibility was to begin with. And that's where that responsibility should lie till the end of the deal.
Yeah, I always thought that was
Yeah.
interesting how that worked, like when people were double dipping, because like at the end of the day, like the bias would be towards the seller, because like we're gonna get more money, we're gonna do as little as possible at the end of this deal so that they walk away with the most. So like if you're representing both, it's kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? There's bias, right? You're biased more towards the seller, and
Yeah.
I know like when we sold our house in Texas back in 2023, the the buyer's agent was very ballsy, because we'd been on the market for I think 2 or 3 months maybe, and our house was in great condition, but the lady came back and was like, okay, we want a new roof, you have to have all of the HVAC redone, and you're going to have someone come out and inspect the sewer lines and make sure that there's no issues. And if there are, you're going to have to repair those. And I remember looking at my agent and being like, is this lady smoking crack?
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously? And she's like, yeah, that's a pretty bold offer. And, I was grateful to have my agent because I basically was like, well, you can just tell these people to kick rocks. She's like, well, I'm not going to tell them that, but here's, what if we, they ended up paying us $1,500 at closing. Like, we didn't do any of that. They
Amazing.
ended up paying us money. It was like towards closing costs or something. They wanted to like buy down their rate, so they like did that, and then it was a big negotiation. But at the end of the day, had I not had her in our pocket to like tell us that we didn't have to do any of those things, I would have probably spent 20, 30 grand that I didn't have to do things that weren't necessary. And so I love how you look at the perspective of, hey, work with someone who's dedicated for that specific transaction that you're on, whether you're selling or buying,
Yeah.
because they're going to have your best interest at heart. And at the end of the day, like, they're a commission person. So like they're still trying to make the best of the deal so that they can get paid too. And I think that's a big piece, is remembering, that if an agent is going above and beyond and they're really working hard for you, it's because they're not just trying to earn the commission, but they're trying to earn referrals. Because like, an agent's going to do one deal with someone probably once every 5, 10, 15 years, maybe. I don't remember what the average is, but it's like 8 to 10 years people stay in their home at this point. And so they're not going to make a ton of money off of you after that one deal. They're trying to get more people, friends, family, what have you. And so, like, how do you make sure that you're teaching your agents to really be in that space, right? Because it sounds like you have a team. So it's like, how do you make sure those folks understand that, hey, we're going to do the best that we can for this client, because we know that ultimately referrals are going to be what comes from it.
We're always all in, right? It's always about the client, whether it's just me or it's me and another agent that I work with. So when it comes to a situation like we're talking about, right off the bat, if let's just say we're at an open house, I will let those buyers know right out the gate, whoever agent is next to me, that this is going to be your buyer agent, right? This is your guy or girl. What I can do, and what I do like to do is I'll negotiate the offer, the initial offer. I have no problem negotiating the offer back and forth. Uh, Never had an issue with that. I also can remain completely realistic during that process. I don't say I'm going to remain unbiased, because I'm always biased. Like I'm always giving my opinion. And if you're giving your opinion, that's bias. So I I'll just say I will remain realistic, right? If I have the buyers and they request something like ridiculous, I'm going to tell them, like, guys, I'm going to do this because you're telling me to, but I'm just letting you know, I think this is a little ridiculous, and this is why. And if the sellers come back with any type of counter, and I think that it's far fetched or anything like that, I'm going to tell them the same thing. But I'm also going to agree with them if I agree with them, if they do something good. So negotiating the offer, great. The rest of it, like attorney review and all that other stuff, that's when the other agent takes over, and that's who they have for that, right? That and their attorney. Just remain honest. That's it. Remain honest. Don't be selfish. Don't go into freak out mode because you haven't done a deal, right? Like, because realtors, they what's the word I'm looking for? They freak out. They get desperate. That's the word. They get desperate, right? And then they start doing things that they typically wouldn't do if life was good. And as a realtor, we can't do that. You have to take the good with the bad. If you're having a shitty year, that's because you are not doing the things you're supposed to do. It's on you. Go out and do them.
Amen.
or go leave real estate and leave it to me. Okay. Leave it to me. I think we just froze here. I don't know if you can still hear me. Oh, there we are.
Yep.
Froze for a second. Cool. Right. So going back to it, ethics is everything. Ethics is everything.
I love that.
Just be true. Be be true, be realistic, be ethical. You shouldn't really have an issue in your deals, and be honest.
I mean, that's a solid piece of advice. And normally I would ask, what's something that a new agent or a new sales professional can do. But I think that's a great, right. Just be honest, be ethical, do the right thing for people. And at the end of the day, it's always going to come back in your favor. Um, and it ultimately is the number one thing that when I'm looking to work with a sales professional, I can usually tell right off the rip whether or not they're trying to BS me. And it's that immediate green flag, red flag. And so, Mark, I know Dennis, Mark, we could probably nerd out on this all day, but I want to be respectful of your time. What's the best way for us to come find you, follow you, check out your cool new website? If I lived in Jersey, how would I come and hire you to be my new favorite realtor? Like, what's the best way to come check you out, brother?
Dennis Mark Real Estate will come up anywhere in New Jersey. Even Dennis Mark, if you start typing in Dennis Mark, but just put real estate next to it, everything will come up. If you want to find me on TikTok, I'm Red, White, and Real Estate. Kind of like Red, White, and Blue, but Red, White, and Real Estate.
I like it.
YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. If you want to find me personally on Facebook, I love to connect with people personally. Just it's Dennis Mark Interdonato. That's my personal page. I'm on there as Dennis Mark. That's my handle name on Facebook, and that is like the main social media app that I really, I guess, converse on and utilize the most.
Beautiful.
And then
we will make sure we put all those links in there, and we'll share them out with everybody, man. I can't thank you enough for your time today. It's been a fun conversation. Even before we started recording, we were having a good time, but I definitely had fun chatting with you during the call, and looking forward to our next interaction. Likewise. Man. Anything else you want to add for today?
Just be good people, guys. Treat everybody the same way. Take my story with the whole land deal, and maybe you got something out of it. Do your job. Realtors, just do your job.
It sounds so simple, bro, but
it is though. But it is. You just have to be all in about it. You have to come from the right place, right? I'm not a realtor for me. I'm a realtor for you. Did I get into it for the money? Yeah, I did. Right? I make a great living, but I will tell you this. I work my ass off for the living that I make. And I work it like that because of the reward that I get from helping everybody that works with me.
Beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful. Well, you guys know what to do next. Go follow Dennis Mark Interdonato on all the socials. Check him out. Go to his website. Share it. And, if you enjoyed this episode specifically, put it out on social media, tag the two of us, let us know that you got some value out of it. Maybe even send it to someone that's like a really shitty realtor. Maybe they suck and they need some help. Like, this episode will bring them some value, man. There's nothing wrong with that. Send it to them with love. Let them know that there's some value here for them. And more than anything, subscribe, leave us a review, do all that stuff that helps us get this in front of more people that can enjoy it just like you have. And if you have your own crazy sales story, I want to hear about it. Head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your details. We'll get you booked in. You guys know what to do from here. Go call the damn leads. We'll see you on the next one.
All right.